everyone. It's Abby Glassenberg. I hope you are doing well. I am actually in a new setting today. You might notice I'm not in my typical studio with all my stuffed animals. My family and I are out of our house for 2 weeks while we are doing a home renovation. I put my Etsy shop on vacation mode, which I rarely do, but we are badly in need of a couple of things in our house. We needed to have our floors, our hardwood floors refinished after 16 years and 3 kids, you can imagine. And also our walls painted on our first floor. So we had to move all of our furniture and empty out my studio and move all the art off the walls, everything upstairs or into the garage or into the basement. And then we moved out for 2 weeks. And so anyway, we are here in an Airbnb and I'm still doing my member spotlight. We are going to be going live with Rene Table Orlando. I'm super excited to be speaking with her. She is one of our Craft Industry Alliance members. So Renee, hi, how are you?
Great. How are you doing, Abby?
I am doing well. I was just saying that we are in this new setting in this Airbnb for 2 weeks, which honestly kind of feels like vacation. So, it's like pandemic time. I haven't left my house. So for me to be in another person's house, it's like, wow, this is great.
Well, I didn't hear the beginning of what you were saying, but I heard towards the end. And we haven't moved out of our house, but we've been doing a lot of house, not fun house renovations, but things that came up unexpectedly. And so we moved into our daughter's room. So yeah, I can relate a little bit.
Yeah, I do think this time has like made all of us kind of look around at our surroundings and be like, we need to fix stuff around here, whether it's like, to make it more pretty or actually just this, like the dishwasher is broken or, just like stuff that really needed to be done and we were putting off and, so it's a combination of all of those things. But anyway.
It's not a bad time to do it, that's for sure.
Yeah, totally. Just needed to be done. But surrounding you is all sorts of rainbow, beautiful supplies. I am missing like my studio and all my craft supplies. Yeah. So tell us, Renee, a little bit about what is behind you, where you are, and about your business. I know you kind of had pivoted at one point and you now have this really beautiful kind of maker space studio where people can come and not during COVID, but normally, and kind of dive into craft projects. So what is Craft Table Orlando?
Yeah, so I kind of feel like there's a before story and an after story, but basically, yes, I am in the craft table, which I opened, I don't know, has it been like a year and a half? I look at the pandemic, so it was like 6 months before the pandemic. So probably not the best time to open a maker space. But I don't regret it. I love it. So yeah, so the craft table is a maker space here in Orlando. The idea being where makers can come and gather together, learn how to make different projects, actually make the projects, shop a little bit. And and when I moved into the craft table, this is a really cute place. In Orlando, it's obviously in Orlando, and it's not quite downtown. It's in but it's close to downtown, and it's in a really cute area where there's local shops and local restaurants and neighborhoods where families, go and walk their dogs and ride their bikes, and it's just a really great space. And it's in an older home, so I have one half of the house. And then the other half is a hair salon. So it was really great before the pandemic. I also would have people stop in from the hair when they were waiting for their appointment and do some shopping. So in fact, I see the mailman coming in right now. So I also tried to have some local artist work here. Like there was a local ceramist and a painter and things like that. But anyway, sorry. So getting back to when I moved in here, I also was able to move my personal sewing studio here. So the craft table is a separate business, but as far as the space goes, I have the craft table and then I have my personal sewing area. And then I also have what I call a fulfillment center for my Etsy shop. So I moved everything out of my house. So that was great. So now I can just kind of come here and I try and have like all the color, the colors, you know, brighten up the day. And then when the pandemic hit, and I'm sorry, I'm probably like all over the place. We it was great because I could still, even though businesses were closed, I Googled, you know, like what, because Orlando originally shut down for just a little bit, for I don't know how long, you know, where you really couldn't have, businesses weren't open. But because I had an online business, I was able to, so it was great. There was no traffic on I-4. I could, you know, come here and get away, and no one comes in here. So I still come here every day, even though there aren't workshops here right now. That makes sense, because
Yeah.
what makes the craft table, what I think, what makes it really special is the idea was, you know, like a small makerspace area where we all gathered around this big table, which is why it's called the craft table. And it was just like a sense of community, and we were working on things where a lot of people are quilters, and we do all that at home. We have our sewing machines, and we, you know, and that's great because I love to do that too. I have that right on the other side of the wall. But here, we were doing things like English paper piecing and hand embroidery and knitting and macrame and things where we could all just kind of like sit and connect and you know, learn things from each other, and also just have that sense of community. But because we were all gathered around a table, because of social distancing, we can't do that now. Yeah. So that part has pivoted online. I've been working on doing online on-demand classes, and I have 2 up now, and I'm working on the 3rd one. But the shop's still open for local pickup, and then I've tried to, one of the pivoting things was expanding the online retail stuff for the craft table, which is sort of different from my Etsy shop. The Etsy shop is still there, and everything that I carry in the Etsy shop I have at the craft table, but I have obviously a lot more stuff at the craft table than Etsy started first. I had that along, you know, for a while, and so I just, yeah.
So when people come for the craft table concept, when people come, let's say with a group of friends, can they come and get a kit with instructions and some instruction from you, and kind of work on that distinct or discrete project all together for an evening, like kind of a girls' night out or something like that for, you know, 2 hours, and then come away with that project complete? Is that like one of the models?
Right, that's exactly right. So the idea being, you don't have to bring anything. All the supplies were included. There's an actual lesson workshop. So yeah, so something is taught, and you work on it while you're here. And depending on what the project is, in most cases you go home with a completed project. Not always, but all the supplies are included. And most of the workshops were, you sign up online, and so you can either just sign up individually. We also had some where people would want to book a private thing for like their group, like a ladies' night out, or something like that. So yeah, that was the idea.
Yeah,
still is the idea. I think people will be ready once we're able to. And some places are already open. I'm just probably, you know, I'm just a little more paranoid. My husband's got some health issues, so yeah, I'm not ready to, you know, it's not worth it to have like 2 or 3 people there.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes sense to be careful. But I also think that when the time is right, I do think people are going to really crave that connection and want to come back. And you have a good model where it is a fairly small group. It's not a hugely crowded convention center or something like that. It's, you know, 8 people, 6 people, 12 people, something like that, in you know, around a table. And I think people will really want to get out of their house, have that experience, see other people that they maybe don't even know, or be with their friends who they do know and just want to be with again. So I know it's hard to be patient, and it must just feel terrible, but I do think it will come back when the time is right. But it does make sense to be careful. But I think it's really cool to have those projects where, you know, you're learning something new, but everything's included. And I would imagine people, I don't know how much you were able to test this, but would want to kind of shop afterward, or even during breaks, or maybe buy like another design by that same kit maker. You know what I mean? So if I'm doing like an embroidery, you know, and it's a flower, I would maybe want to buy a second one to take home because like now I've fallen in love with this, you know?
Well, yeah, that's the idea as far as getting people hooked on creating. That's one reason why I wanted to open the craft table because, you know, I've traveled to quilt retreats and quilt con, and I get together regularly with friends to create, and it's just been so I find it very therapeutic, and it's kind of kept my sanity over the years. And I just feel like everyone needs that, but not everyone can, depending on, you know, how old your kids are, or even if some people don't even want to go anywhere. But I was hoping, you know, this place is sort of where you can get away and create with other like-minded individuals for an hour, 2 hours, a whole day. In between those, you know, get your fix in between when you do travel for a week somewhere. But also, I just feel like there's some people that they think they can't, you know, I have quite a few friends who are like, oh, I can't do that. I can't, you know, I don't know how to quilt. I can't do hand embroidery. I'm not crafty. And that's, everyone can do something. And I just feel like everyone should find what they're passionate about. Whether, I mean, I personally think it should be hand embroidery or English paper piecing or, you know, sashiko or quilting. But if it's not that, then, you know, reading a book or gardening or writing or I don't know, whatever. I just feel like everyone should have something like that.
And I always think about, you know, when we were in high school and in art class, and everybody would be sitting around those big black tables. At least in our art class, there were these big black tables. You'd sit on these metal stools and be working. And I really feel like the conversations that we would have during that time were the best conversations, because it's like everyone's got their mind occupied or is like looking down and doing something, but then you're also like free to talk at the same time. And so it's like I would make the best friends in art class, maybe because I was relaxed and happy, but that's another part of it. But also, like, I just feel like you're able to kind of connect with people in a different way when your hands are occupied, but you're also able to converse, I feel like.
Yeah, I find it very re-energizing anytime I'm with, you know, doing something like that, and then I leave and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do this, I can do that, you know, and there's all the different things that I want to try and do. It's probably why I have so many unfinished projects. But I'm at the point where, you know, I've quilted for so long, and I've made, you know, all my kids have their quilts, their graduation quilts. So far, all the baby quilts are up to date, and so it's all about, to me, the process and just enjoying what I'm working on. And if I'll finish it eventually, but I'm not worried anymore about, okay, this has got to be done this week or this month or even this year. If you see, you know, go back to some of my blog posts, some things have been going on for a long time, but you know, it's all about the process, I think.
And did you have another career prior to doing this? What were you up to before this shop and your Etsy shop came to be?
Yeah, so I used to be a CPA. I was a certified public accountant. Yeah, so that was my former life, and I have no desire to do anything like that.
That was chapter 1, and this is chapter 2.
Exactly. I don't even do my own taxes anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was great, you know, while I was doing it when my kids were young, and, you know, good thing to do out of college, business, get a job, you know, raise a family. But yeah, now I'm now about like the complete opposite of that.
That's so
interesting. I don't want to, yeah. And even when the kids were younger, you know, and you're like PTA, and they're like, oh, then you can be our treasurer because you were a CPA. And I did that. I don't want to do that anymore.
Now
like,
you're all set.
Can I just do something, you know, fun?
Yeah, absolutely. So. Right. And I know you and I met, we were saying over email briefly at Threads of Success at Quilt Market. And so are you hoping to go back to some of those trade shows once down the road life does normalize a little bit?
Yeah, I would. It was interesting. I had signed up for it was the first Threads of Success. And at the time that I registered, I didn't even know there was going to be a craft table. So I went for a different reason. My original reason was, I make design these enamel pens that are like crafty related, So at the time, my idea was to just try and shop those wholesale. But between registering and attending, I did open up the craft table. So if I could do it all over again, I would have done different classes or taught, So yeah, I feel like I need to go. It'll be like the first time, even though I've done it once before. I feel like when I do actually go, it'll be brand new to me because I didn't talk to, Wonderfill or, fabric companies. I was, that's not what my focus was at the time because like I said, I'd already signed up and you had to like pick different areas that you were going to, yeah, but it was great. I enjoyed it. I got to go to, what's it called? Schoolhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah. So maybe you would go back to Quilt Market, but with the eye of like a buyer.
Right.
This time around, sort of a different eye. And that's great. I mean, I think, one of the things about being in this industry is that we all do change and evolve over time. And my role certainly in my sort of outlook has really changed over the last, I don't know, decade or so for sure. Yeah. And sort of like, what am I doing here? That question has changed so much. So, and I think you have to allow that, to shift and change over time and what your goals are, who you're trying to meet with and, network with is, has got to change. So that's great though. And I hope we can all get back to doing those shows.
Me too. Yeah. Well, as you know, like QuiltCon is next week or the week after?
Yeah.
And I'm attending, even though it's virtual. And
that'll be a great show.
It's always been, I go on the odd numbered years, so this was supposed to be my year to go in person. I didn't get to go last year. Yeah. So I was really bummed, obviously, for that. If it had been 2020 or 2022, but 2021. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I signed, as usual, I take way too many classes. I overextend, and I did the same thing, even though it's virtually. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how they translate in-person classes to, I think since we've all been kind of doing Zoom and online things for a while, I'm sure it's all figured out.
Yeah, and they made that call so early that they've had a lot of time to plan, which was really smart. So I think that'll be a really, really well planned and really positive show. That's great. Yeah. So that's awesome, Rene. And so do you want to tell people both online how to find you, and then if they are in the Orlando, Florida area and want to swing by once your doors are open again and either do some shopping or sign up for a class, how to find you there as well?
Yeah, so thank you. So the Craft Table is the name of the business, but online you would find me at crafttableorlando.com. And so from there's links everywhere, Instagram, and then it kind of like goes back to the Rene Creates, and it has the address here, which is 1404 Ferris. So if people are familiar with the Ivanhoe Village area, which is, like I said, I love it. It's a great place to be. That's where I'm located.
That's awesome. I'm very excited for you. I'm excited for things to get back and for people to be able to come back and do some in-person shopping when that time is right. But in the meantime, to shop and support our small businesses online so that we can all thrive and survive.
Yeah, well, and I have to, say a big thank you to everyone. I've been lucky that I've got a great loyal customer base, and so they've been awesome. And we even had our 1-year anniversary held virtually. So that was kind of cool. We had guest speakers and giveaways, whatever. But no, it's been awesome, and I appreciate this opportunity. And I have to say, I love the Craft Industry Alliance, so thank you. It's helped me a lot. Okay. We always talk about how everyone can hear, and so I talk about how I'm meeting with the CIA mastermind group today, and I'm like, oh great, I'm going to be like put on some FBI watch list, right?
I know, we have the best initials ever.
That's a whole nother so I'm like, I got my CIA mastermind group meeting today. So anyway, thanks, Abby. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Have a great day, Rene, and thank you everybody for watching and tuning in today, and we will see you next Wednesday. Bye.